Hey guys, welcome back to the second episode of The Cycle, the premier Slapshot podcast. I'm here with Rodeo and Balucha.
Hi.
What's up?
All right, guys, so let's just get right into it. Obviously, the finals of the first season is over. The playoffs are completely over now. Obviously, the Clappers won over the Fishermen. So just give me
Shocking kind of events.
shocking. Just give me your overall thoughts of maybe even just the playoffs. Did you like the 3-game format switch from what you guys played last time? Was it too short? The finals obviously is 5 games. Every game prior to that in the playoffs is 3 games. So just give me your overall thoughts of maybe the format and just everything so far.
Overall, I thought it was really sick. I loved how it was like fit into a week. Like it made teams like you had to get your availability in. Everything got done quick. There was like always a series to watch. For the most part, the series were really good. There were a few like kind of boring ones, but it's going to happen in the early rounds and sadly the finals. But it's kind of unavoidable against the Clappers for the most part. Besides their semis, but we'll get into that shortly.
I think that the playoffs kind of followed the story of the SPL so far. It was really organized, like Rodeo said. I liked how it all fit into one week and wasn't drawn out. Teams played when they were supposed to. They and then also I think that 3 games, while it was a little bit condensed, was actually really exciting to watch and to play in, because it meant that each game actually mattered. And then it also wasn't drawn out like way past the point of being fun anymore. Like I can imagine a couple of series in particular where it was just so unbalanced that if they had to play 5 games, well, I guess it wouldn't be that bad. They'll play one more game, right?
Yeah.
In that case, and then I think that the change from 7 games in the finals was a good one. 5 games was great, and it goes without saying the actual outcome of the finals wasn't anything spectacularly interesting.
Yeah. I would say the outcome for me wasn't like too surprising. I would say more so like I don't know if it's like the results of it, but like I don't think anybody really expected 3-0. I mean, I didn't, but they kind of looked like they gave up in the last game, which like was kind of sad because the first game was like so close. Like it literally could have went either way based off of like.
Wait, wasn't I think the first game? I thought the second game was a close
Was
one.
it?
So I think the first.
Either way.
I think the first game. I think the Clappers went up like 4.
No,
And then,
I
like,
thought
the
I thought
Fishermen-
the first
Oh,
game was
was
the
it?
game that went to OT and they barely lost. Like they.
you guys are way off on all of
Am
it.
I?
Fuck.
The first game was 7-5, so it was close.
Yeah, they went up. Yeah, Clappers went up 4, and then Fishermen scored like 2 garbage time goals. It wasn't never really
Really?
close.
I don't know. I thought
Yeah.
okay. Either way, there was one game that was super close, and to me, it was just like I don't know.
It was game 2, and that like crushed their vibe. And then game
Yeah.
3,
Oh,
they kinda-
okay. Then
They knew they didn't have
right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was like 1-1 for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that did happen.
So yeah, like I get that it sucks, but like either way, you still have to win 3 games. Like you could easily tie 3 together. You know what I mean? Because like if you win one, then like you start kind of putting the pressure on them, and like I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we can kind of like circle back to last week, like that thing I was saying, like the psychological part of the game, where like you're down 2-0 and like you kind of just like, all right, well, there's no fucking hope. Fuck this. Like never mind. Let's not.
At that point, all you're thinking is all you have to do is win a game.
Right.
And you just do that for 3
Right,
games. Like the
yeah.
same thing, you're down in goals. Like you're down 3-0 in the third. All you need is 1 goal.
Right,
And
yeah.
you do that 3 times.
I don't know. I just wanted to see, like, even if it was just like a little resistance, like even a close third game
Yeah.
would have been good. You know what I mean? To like hope
My
you
prediction
get
was
another.
3-1.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was sad not to see him go a bit farther.
I definitely think that was still a really good matchup. I just think that it was just
Yeah.
that type of day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could have
Yeah.
kind of gone either way.
Yeah, that second
almost.
game was definitely, I think, the determining factor. I guess it was the second game, not the first game, but
It was the morale breaker.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
Well, what else? What other series? Any surprises? Anything that
Well,
was
yes,
particularly
from
fun to
there,
watch?
We might as well start at the quarterfinals then.
Yeah, that's
We
fair.
had probably the best quarterfinal was Almas versus Smokers.
Dude,
Balucha.
I don't. Oh my god.
That was
Yeah,
a crazy
all-
series.
All 3 games were like way closer than
Yeah.
they ever should have been. I mean,
that was
it
the real
really-
final.
it was really fun to play. Yeah, all the games were really close, and I have so much respect for the Smokers. And I mean, really, if I'm gonna be honest, what swayed the scales was gonna be that Cocky Walrus was lagging, and then got taken out, replaced by Dennis, the madman, You know, he's basically been on the sideline the whole season, and then comes out in the playoffs, you know, just to go on a rampage. And it shows, like, I wish that this guy would actually like play the game.
Yeah.
Because if he played a whole season, I'm sure he would be somewhere up towards the top of the points leaderboard. Seriously.
Yeah.
And then so for us, the struggle really was how do you how do you shut down two really offensive players down at the same time? Because we have K-Spire, who normally would be the one like to watch, and then we've got Dennis just like ripping shots at us all game. So at that point, we were just trying to like, you know, cut the losses and stay in the game. And then the last game, God, 9-8, man.
Yeah.
It felt so bad to lose by
that was a
one.
heartbreaker.
Yeah.
But just moving
What was
on from that.
how did the series go? Did you guys win game 1?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
won
they won
game
the
one,
Yeah.
but that was when Cocky Walrus was in and he was lagging. So
Yeah.
you know, I don't have anything in particular to say about that. But then Dennis came in for the last two games, and the second game especially, he had a huge impact, just mopping the floor with us. I think he scored. I mean, I can't say the real number, but he scored a huge percentage of their goals in those two games.
Yeah.
So he was definitely like MVP of that series. Just came in and made a huge difference.
Yeah.
I know. I was predicting you guys to win going into that series, and I felt really confident after you won the first game, and then then shit just went south.
Yeah, it was that line change, man.
Yeah, that was rough.
And then we had obviously the top seed versus the last seed, Virginia and the Clappers, and that was over in 2.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people really hoped that it would go differently, but then it really didn't. I think the Clappers just put on their try hard pants for the playoffs, and you know, I mean, they weren't gonna take any else.
People put a lot of hope in the fact that I think the Clappers only beat the Express by 1 in the regular season, right? That was a really close game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not what we saw.
Yeah.
And then Rodeo, what happened with your what happened with your
Wait, in the quarterfinals, we went to overtime. Game 1, clutch up as usual. Game 2 is easy. That went really smooth. Yeah, I mean, we weren't surprised. I mean, we knew at least one of the games is going to be close. That's just what we do. We just play close games.
Always.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's just very typical of the Storm, you know.
In
Like
nature.
how many times did you go to OT during the season, and then just to kick off the playoffs,
5,
another one? So is that 5 or is that 6?
Oh, that
OT games?
was 5. It was only 4 in the regular season.
That's
We
hilarious.
won all of them.
We'll see how that that changes next season.
Yeah, with your newly acquired player, that should help, you know, that everybody is sleeping on, you know.
Mr. Do-It-All.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
All right. So is that it for the playoffs? Because I have a topic that I kind of want to just bring up.
We can cover the semifinals a bit. I mean, because the Smokers versus Clappers was a crazy
series.
series.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Smokers
Clappers
got blown out game 1. Game 2, Smokers, I think they had like a decent lead most of the time, I believe. I can't remember exactly. I know Walrus went off. Great to see after his lag struggles. People would give him a lot of shit.
Yep.
He's had like 120 ping or something at random times.
Yep.
But his ping came down to earth like right before. Like I heard in the pubs right before that series, like he was still on 100 ping, and they were waiting on Dennis, and then they played, and his ping was normal, and then he snapped.
Yeah, he did score a lot of goals, and I think we were all Carolina Smokers fans that night
definitely
because there was the one that the Smokers won, and this was this the first series that actually? Oh no, the second series that went to 3 because there was Oblin Smokers, and then Smokers do it again, right, with the Clappers. I think what it was is just putting the pressure on them, you know, not giving them a lot of space, and then the last game is decided 4-3. And I think it was actually like right at the end as well.
Yeah, well, they scored one right at the end with like 2 seconds left to make it 4-3. So it's 4-2 like most of the time, and then they got like a within 10-second goal, and then it was like you couldn't score unless you literally scored off the face.
Smokers were down by 1, and then Kisbert had a bit of a slip up and turned it over.
Yep, that was it. Now I remember. So yeah, 4-3, but
definitely
that was pretty close too.
What would you rate the playoff scale of 1 to 10 overall, based on like format, you playing in it, like everything, overall watchability, like casting, everything? Just rate it out of 10.
Just from playing, probably 7, just because of the way it ended. But
True, yeah.
like overall, just how like boring the finals were.
Yeah,
but
that's
like,
true.
yeah.
Everything
There's
else,
a lot of hype
besides
up.
the
There's a
result.
Even
there's
if
a
I
lot of
wasn't in
lead up.
yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, even if I wasn't in the finals, if the finals was better, it easily could have been like an 8 or 9.
Yeah,
Like even if it went to a 4 or 5, it would have been bumped up. But
true.
a sweep just isn't what you want to see.
Yeah,
on
definitely.
Yeah,
that
I
stage.
think for everything other than the finals, the casting, watchability was way up there.
Yeah.
You know, give it
That
a
was
9.
fantastic.
I mean, the clappers just again, they're in a class above, and we'll kind of get into that by looking at some stats after sort of season in review. But I mean, that's really all there is to say about the playoffs. Really, we had some expected series results, and then we also had some really close matchups that really could have gone
Oh,
either
just
way.
because we didn't mention it, our series versus the Fishermen, the other semifinals, we just choked game 1. That's really all it came down to. And then game 2, it was a really easy game. And then they switched Dynamite back on defense because we kept getting like the stretch pass shot, and Dynamite went back and started handling it, and then that kind of got taken away. He
Yeah,
played really well, and we just we never really like changed the way we were playing to match how they adjusted for our offense, and then they squeaked it out in the end. But that game 1 hurt a lot.
Yeah.
I fucked up a lot of shots.
yeah. Well, there was one thing that came out of the finals that I wanted to talk about briefly. It was when okay, hang on. Before that, one more thing. Brady. Hello, let's put in Brady.
Brady.
All the Brady MVP chants. We never got to see an interview from him after the finals. We might have to get him on the show at some point.
Of course.
I mean,
So much. He's
the
actually-
Fisherman. What were you thinking? You should have put in Brady game 2. And now we're on game 3 and still losing. But okay, beside the point, the actual interview that transpired afterward, we bring the whole Clappers team in plus Criz, for what it's worth. And then we got Min and AIA. Shouts out to them streaming the whole thing together. Co-stream was actually really cool. First time we really saw that. And I think we were all kind of falling asleep during the Clappers interview. Like I was glossed over. But he actually asked a really cool question, which was, okay, how can a team beat the Clappers? And I think it's something we've kind of talked about a little bit, and just something that stuck out to me. It's that they said these teams are respecting us too much. They're giving us too much space. It's like they think since we're maybe the best 3 players, at least when we're playing together, that they give us all this space, and it's like if you give them the space to make the move, they're going to make the move.
Yeah.
And then you're just giving them free shots. So, it's something that I'm interested in. I hope that other team captains and other players took note of that, because it doesn't just go for the Clappers, it goes for kind of the game in general. Is if you're getting spanked, it's probably because you're letting the other team do what they're going to do,
Yeah.
And if you end up in a position where you're just turtled up on defense, like you can't really expect to be putting points up
Or stopping anything.
Exactly. Yeah, like they're gonna find holes, and if they're not, they're just ripping shots after shot.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a really important thing to bring up as far as the meta of Slapshot going forward is, forecheck.
Yeah.
Yeah, forecheck's pretty much broken at this point. And my team included, we just you just get afraid to do it, because if they beat the first guy, they're in a 3v2 with
Sure, but you if you pick a side, you have maybe 50% chance, maybe 45% chance of stopping them. If you sit back and let them walk the puck into your net, you had a 0% chance of stopping them. So it's like I'd rather take those odds and that gamble than to just let them walk in and take it laying down. So I'm definitely going to be keeping that in mind as I go into the next season, and how I tell people to play.
Well, I feel like the thing is with forecheck and just defense in general, you don't have to W key or block them from all you have to do is literally just stay in their mind in front of them and make them think that you're gonna do something. Even if you don't do anything, it's still making them think okay, I can't just deke one way, they might guess. You know what I mean? Just being a threat to go either way still blocks them. Where like if you just wait at half ice and let them skate it up, like they're gonna be able to see everything that's going on already. Like you have to just like stay in the way of something. Like even if you don't know you're in the way, just like constantly like turning your stick is like a huge thing too.
Well, okay, and then what? It was the day after we had the first SPL awards and all that entails.
Yeah.
What do we think about that?
We had the voting on Friday, right? And then it was announced yesterday.
Not enough
on Sunday.
awards.
Not enough awards.
There probably should be more.
There's 2
I
awards.
really like the way NSL did it. Yeah.
There was a few, right?
Yeah, but like they were kind of just like non-opinionated. It was like, all right, best season, best record, who won, and then MVP and playoff MVP.
I mean, I understand why they kept it simple, and that's because like it was so unbalanced. like for a placement season, it really wasn't like fair. So if we put all of the stat-based awards in there, it's like a lot of those points are inflated by games where teams were able to just like run up the score.
Yeah.
No particular teams, by the way.
Denver Omelets mainly.
But
your top point owner played 10 games.
Yeah, I just understand the decision for that. But obviously we have SPL Championship, Irvion Trophy, which goes to the Columbus Clappers, the Lucha Trophy, which goes to the Columbus Clappers. So they've got 2 there on their team page. Most improved team, Chicago Sail.
Shout out.
I think that one was actually
that was probably a close vote, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the numbers or anything, but I know I voted for the Express personally.
I also voted for the Express. Full disclosure. And I would guess that vote would be pretty close. The reason that I voted for the Express, even though like the Sail had the worst starting record and the better ending record, is because just comparing the 2 schedules, I felt like the Sail had a similar schedule to the Omelets, except flipped. So they had to deal with a lot of the best teams at the beginning and then like lesser teams later.
Yeah.
But in their defense, they did have a couple tough matchups where they actually ended up on top, and that was in I think the Fishermen and the
Express. And the Express game was really important. Like they had to win that to have a chance at getting in.
Yeah. Exactly. So that was a big deal. So I could kind of see it as a toss up either way, really.
Well, something for me about that is like if you looked at like I would say Vork and Yuri from where they were, I would say like 3 months ago or even 2 months ago to where they are like individually now. I mean, it's like a huge difference. Even just seeing them play or like watching them handle the puck, like no offense to them, but like you'd see them queue up and be like, holy shit, this is gonna be a fucking bomb pug, you know what I mean? But like at least now it's like when they play, like they're actually like up to skill, like they can hold their own now. Like they feel a lot more like comfortable playing. You know what I mean? I think they got past that part of like feeling like everyone's better than them, and now they're kind of just like focused on actually improving and like playing better. Like Yuri and Vork have improved like a lot from
Yuri's on like this new ego kick. It's really funny.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like at the start of the season, they might have had a sort of like imposter syndrome. Like I don't know if I belong here with the top guys.
Right. Yeah.
Especially like with the starting results of their games, like the starting God, what's the word? The record.
Right.
But then I think towards the end they really started to realize like if we work together we can make this work. And I've noticed I think that Yuri deserves a shout out. Rodeo pulled it up. He has 50 hours played in the last 2 weeks. So this guy is out here grinding.
Yeah, that's I'm telling you.
I think that the open division teams are going to have to watch out for the Sail for sure.
Yeah. And something to bounce off of what you were saying about the unfairness. It like for next season, there's obviously going to be open and the pro division. What do you guys think could kind of be done? Like I have my own idea, but like I want to hear what you guys think about could be done to possibly like alleviate some of the unfairness that's going to kind of happen next season. Like how there's going to be just a couple teams in open that are going to like be just purely dominant just based on roster, you know what I mean? Which we obviously know who the teams are. Like, what do you guys think could be done, or like, what's your idea to possibly help that situation and like maybe give teams a chance to compete in a different, league or like a different division, or what do you guys think should be done to kind of help with that?
I think like so you have the Quebec Baguettes, the best open team, presumably. which is FSI, who left my team, Gauzy, Oceloth, and Renard. All from pro teams last year. They all qualified.
Yeah.
Well, Gauzy not technically, but his old team will be in pro division because the fishermen are gonna drop out. That's a whole nother story though.
Yeah, we'll get to that after.
But just like, it just doesn't feel right that team is just probably gonna go undefeated.
Well, because it's gonna make it
versus-
unfun again. You know what I mean? Or it's gonna
Yeah.
make like
Yeah.
I feel like the open division was fun to think about.
It causes the same thing that we've been saying all season, where it's like, just wait out this season. It'll be better for you next season. When now it feels like it'll be better for the most part. Like only a quarter of your games will not be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could easily just say the same thing to some of the lower open division teams. We've been telling,
Yeah.
like, for this whole placement season is like, hey guys, I know this is rough, just hang in there for next season, it'll be more balanced. And then it's the same thing, like there's a couple of teams that are probably just going to tear it up in open division, and then it's like, what, you tell them the same thing again, just wait until next season, it'll be more fair.
Right.
You know, but if season after season pro teams are like dropping and reforming and getting like sent back into the open division, that doesn't solve any problems.
Well,
but what I have heard from Kodiak and QW and all them is sort of that they have a plan of like a point system. It's nothing official or like confirmed yet, I don't think, how they're really going to do it, but just that players will qualify and build a certain amount of points that will qualify their team automatically for a certain division level. And as we get more teams, if there's intermediate and, you know, if it starts to split up into more, then that's how you'll qualify.
yeah, that was my idea.
I think the best thing that can be done right now is hoping we get enough open team signups to split it before it even begins, just based off of what we think of the rosters. Because I know it's not, I mean, obviously teams improve and like decline after like the season starts, but like in Slapshot for the most part, you can tell. Like if you look at most people's predictions for the season, like all of them pretty much were like at least one spot off.
Yeah.
Like most of them were right though. Like you have a good sense of where teams are going to be going into the season. I think just like a good like eye check of teams, then split them into leave 8 and open and up 8 to like a challenger or whatever the name would be, intermediate or something.
That's what I was gonna say.
Well, in the interest of fairness, like I would like to take like assumption out of it as much as possible. Like it is one thing to be like, oh, you know, FSI made a team in open division, let's just auto promote him. But at the same time, it's like it just seems sort of like favorite treatment, you know, where other teams have to earn their spot.
I mean, I kind of agree, because it definitely gets muddier towards like if you were to do that, it kind of gets muddier towards the lower end of like the middle division you would make, you know, so it's not as clear there. But also people like, because we were talking about that before the placement season, where if you just put the top 8 teams from the eye check in pro division, no one would have been wrong before. Like the assumption didn't go bad. Like there was like there was no surprise team. Like this sale probably performed a bit higher than you'd expect, but they still didn't even make it.
Yeah, but to be fair, the fight for that 8th spot was bloody. You know, like I think in the end we could have seen any of those teams in. In the end, you know, with the fishermen dropping out of pro division and kind of breaking up, we see the Venom get auto promoted, which is, you know, eyebrow raises there, whatever. You know, but it could have gone a lot of different ways, I feel like, with the Express, with the Sale, with the Venom, you know.
Well, that's why I feel like the intermediate division would be like the best option, because like if you have people who drop out of pro or like they want to make a different team or they want to do this, like you don't go to the open and smash it out. You just drop like a division to play like the better teams, where it's like, okay, like if you're really that good and you win in that, then like you're still at least beating like formidable teams. You're not just going to open division and like stomping it out. So I don't know. I think obviously it's brand new. Like everything's brand new. So like an intermediate division right now would be so hard to do. I'm speaking more so for like the future, but I think that's like the way to go. Where like, you know, if you're top 2 in intermediate, which is like the better of the teams, then I mean there's no real like, I feel like, downfall, because those people should know like, okay, like if you're signing up for intermediate, like you're trying to get into pro like everybody else. You're not like going to open expecting to be like, okay, like kind of like like I look at open as more of like you're just getting into the game, or it's like a rec league where like you want to have fun a couple times a week and like just play like organized or whatever. And then I think there needs to be something in between open and pro, not just like, okay, everybody can play and then only the elite can play. Like it's just kind of like there needs to be some middle ground. So I think that's kind of the goal. I don't know how you can do it now, but
think it's just
All-
based on the number of teams, and hopefully that player point system comes into play.
Well,
not this next season, but after
but
that.
like think about how like good intermediate would be. Think if you had all the older like Slapshot players that still played, like people you like barely think about now. Like even if you brought up like say like Dennis and Hawk, like, even if they played and like they had people on a team, even Mav, Gander, like Vic, all them, like if they all still played, like there would be so many like intermediate teams that were like that would make it so interesting to where if like you formed a new team, you'd be like, bro, we have to fucking battle to get through intermediate to get into pro. You know what I mean? Where like I think Slapshot 2, when people come back, I think it's gonna be really interesting to see if people battle and we can make 3 divisions. Like that's what I'm probably most excited for.
I think probably maybe one of the easiest things to do would be make Pro Division 10 teams. Because I think after this season, no matter what way Pro Division falls, you're going to see 2 teams fall that are automatically going to be the best 2 open teams.
Yeah, that's definitely fair.
And they're going to like decimate because there is like a huge cutoff.
Right.
Because you're going to see the French team qualify to go to Pro. And maybe the Sale, or I know there's a few other rosters forming, I think, that you might see, like the Kim Jong roster. I don't know who their third is. I think Kim and Chiba are teaming up.
They're working on it.
Yeah, so they're whipping up something in Pyongyang.
Yikes.
And then like the Sale, if they perform, maybe like Boston or something. But those teams that come in besides the French team, whatever that last team is probably going to get like, worked.
Yeah.
If it's like if Sales slip in, like they're not gonna have the best season in pro. But 10 teams, like I feel like you're kicking out the 7 and 8, which are 2 still really good teams. Like I don't think you're gonna see a pro division team that get kicked out. Like that's like 1 in 14 or something.
Yeah.
Like the last seed's gonna be like maybe of like 5 wins.
Yeah.
Like they're not gonna be like a bad team by any stretch.
So what you're saying is instead of we've got 8 teams right now in pro, and the plan as far as currently is that the bottom 2 teams will actually drop back to open division, and then the top 2 open division teams will promote up to pro division, and it's like those 4 teams would actually probably be very close in skill. Actually, maybe not even like if the bottom teams in pro division drop, the French teams, there's actually 2 French teams, with Shiba and with Kim Jong, and then with
the Quebec Baguettes. They're probably better than like 4 pro teams right now.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. So it's like those teams could easily all be pro level teams, and like Criz said, if we want open division to be like a little bit more casual and like open and friendly for like any players to just go in and have fun, then maybe that is something that should be looked at. Like just with this particular case where we've got 10 really competitive pro level teams, maybe it doesn't make sense to send them back into open division where they're just gonna like tear it up.
Yeah.
It's all just for the sake of making sure like the new open teams get to have fun.
Right.
I mean, because there's not that many teams that are like, there's not a lot of Quebec Baguettes in open. I mean, there's only like whatever Kim Jong and Shiba whip up. The Sale you probably can't even put in that class. They'll probably drop a few iffy games, to be honest. It's really only the Baguettes, but it's just like when 2 good teams drop next season, no matter what, like those are probably going to be the 2 teams that re-qualify.
Right. Yeah.
Like there's not going to be much suspense there.
Well, I think that if people stick with the league, then by like next year, or I should say next season, if you go through another 10-week season, 8 weeks and then playoffs or whatever, I mean, I think a lot of those teams are going to improve. So like by then, I feel like it should even be closer if they keep playing. And if you're not improving at that point, then it's kind of your own fault, in my opinion. You know what I mean? But that's why I think there should be 3 divisions where like open is kind of the people who don't take it as serious. Intermediate is those people who like play often, compete, and whatever. Then pro is obviously the people who like, compete. And I think the 3 divisions will be interesting because you'll have like right now you said those are probably going to be people who re-qualify. So like some pro teams will kind of just, be like, okay, yeah, we're good. Like we're just going to, win, 10, 11 or 9 games, be good, and then be comfortable. You know what I mean? I think an intermediate division would like really make it interesting because no matter who makes it, I feel like those people will all be good. If you're playing only good people, like it'll make it so interesting no matter who gets promoted. It'll be tough every year to stay up in the division.
Well, so there's our thoughts on the division system. Kodiak, queued up.
That's all just us riffing.
Yeah.
No, yeah, just
It's not really a huge problem.
no. Just spitballing.
No.
I think for the future, I think, like I said, I think that it's
Yeah.
needed to
I
have
think
three.
it's a really fun, good system, but it could be more fun.
Of course.
Yeah, and I just want to. I
Um,
think 3 divisions is the goal, but just it's mainly just based off team numbers. Like that's really all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about, since the SPL awards didn't really include any stat-based awards, I thought it would be interesting.
Oh yeah, I
During
won MVP. Thanks.
it's not really interesting, Rodeo. Okay. On top of all your other awards, I don't know.
Take what I can get. I can't win a fucking chip. So.
It's been 30 minutes and you haven't even mentioned all of your other awards. It's impressive.
I mean, I can go down them.
No, that's okay. I was just about to brag about you and you had to ruin it. So during the season, Rodeo kept up with making this really cool chart. I'm not sure how many people have actually seen it, but
I'll link in the description of the video. So just
link
down
it in the
there.
description of the video if you're listening on YouTube. So it goes through the top 9 teams and it compares. We've got the goals for, the goals against, and then we've got the player stats. And then he also added the points leaders, goals leaders, and assist leaders. So
there's no saves or shots. Sorry, Hellhunt.
No saves or shots.
Yeah.
So there are like some things that aren't really being tracked or counted as far as stats in the game. But
I counted up all by hand, so it took me a bit. But
yeah, I mean it's a lot of work, and it shows. But I think that looking at it like this, so it's only top 9 teams performance against other top 9 teams. So. Yeah. We talked about how this placement season, the first placement season, had things that were like a little bit unfair. I think that this chart actually breaks it down really well and shows how these teams actually stacked up against each other. And there's just like certain stats that stand out as far as like goals for, goals against, and easily the Clappers at 72 goals for. And for reference, if you're not looking at it right now, the second most goals for was the Storm with 47. So,
And I have a question about that since we're, going back to last week, like when I said that's kind of like their play style is like, at this point, it's kind of like precedent for how I feel like you should be playing, like if you want to be consistently good, you know what I mean? Yeah. So do you think that their play style has more of a factor, or is it just that their raw skill is so high above everybody that, or I shouldn't say above everybody, but they're like the little things that they're better at than everybody right now? Do you think that that's more of a contributing factor, that like the raw skill part, or do you think it's more how they play like as 3, like as a unit? To me, it's how they play as a unit. Obviously, I think that they're all insanely individual players, but like, I don't know. I think that big of a goal differential should show you that like there's definitely little things like, winning board battles and like perfect passing and, cycling the puck correctly that like are pretty, like a pretty big gap between the other teams, in my opinion.
I think the raw skill just gets amplified when you play in a system that everyone knows as well as they all do.
Right.
Because like you said, like Meat and Panarin are 2 like the best board battlers. Panarin like doesn't lose the puck notoriously.
Right.
Like even you can hit him a million times, the puck will be on his body, and he'll just like clamp it to the boards and then beat you off the boards and then get the puck in an even better position.
Right.
Yeah, I would also argue both, same as Rodeo. If you look at these stats that we've got here, this is against other top 9 teams. Our point leaders are Meat, Panarin, and Dream, 44, 42, 41 in a row like that. So we've got the 3 highest points of all top 9 teams against each other there. And then for assist leaders, and this actually leans more towards like the system that works, we've got Meat, Panarin, and Dream topping off that. So they're all 3 working together. They're assisting each other. They're helping each other out, and one way or another, it's leading to a lot of goals, basically.
Yeah.
But then the other thing that's interesting though is that we look at goals leaders, and so this is what I take this to be is the players that are having a huge impact on their team. Rodeo's actually on top of it, and then Dino Mike.
Yep.
So aside from Meat, Panarin, and Dream, Rodeo and Dino again, and then they're finishing off the top 5 point leaders too.
Yep.
But curiously, not showing up anywhere on the assists. Yeah. So Rodeo with 30 goals and only 9 assists over the season. So Rodeo, a huge individual player, literally in in my opinion, dragging his.
Wait. Okay.
That's against top 9 teams.
Yeah.
Rodeo literally dragging the Storm on his back into the
Jesus.
spot that they were in. I mean,
Shout out Reno and FSI. Y'all killed it.
shout out Reno and FSI. I mean, it definitely. So there's different systems, right? Like I'm sure they had a bunch of assists too. But Reno through the season, I noticed he had more of like a goalie or defensive role,
Yeah.
and he did great making these breakout passes and everything. But at the end of the day, you have to score goals. And same thing I would say for the Fishermen is Dino Mike is like punching way above his weight class, just scoring goal after goal. He puts them in the net,
Mhm.
and
He's a
with
shooter.
teams, Fishermen don't exist anymore,
Yep.
but say Dino Mike left that team, like what would that even look like?
Yeah.
Who steps up? Or say with the Storm, like if Rodeo left it, I mean that wouldn't happen. But if Rodeo left, who steps up? What does that team look like?
Right.
Because these are two players that are just individually scoring a lot of goals.
Yeah. Well, to wrap up, like what I was saying before about the Clappers' play style, like okay, so let's say in some alternate universe, like the Storm or like the Fishermen went on a run, right? They ended up winning the playoffs, like they won the season. Who would be the Vegas favorite to win next season, like the whole thing?
Clappers.
Right. So it's like, like I said last week, like anybody can go on a run and like do good, but like I think if you want to consistently be good, like I think that's kind of how you have to like start modeling your play style. Like unless you want to just, like win once or like, go on that Cinderella run, but like I think if you want the league or like just in general the game to like advance forward, I think that like you have to look at the best team and be like, okay, like this is what we have to start modeling our team towards. Like not that you have to be good at it within a month or two, but like what you have to start like, like I feel like a lot of teams are scared to do it because in the beginning it's like anything, like when you're training or learning something new, like yes, you're gonna suck, you're gonna take a step back for like a little bit, but it's gonna in the end like be more rewarding. And I feel like a lot of teams right now just don't want to try that because like you don't want to just suck. Like nobody wants to like lose games or like let up easy goals because like you're fucking something up. But like in the long run, I feel like that's what you have to do. Like bite the bullet now and start like working towards that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great point. So you heard it here. You heard it from Criz. It's time for you guys to start reviewing some tape. There's no excuse. All the SPL games are
Yeah.
uploaded on the SPL archive. Min and AIA did a great job keeping all those up there. So an SPL archive on YouTube.
Yes, 100%.
You can watch every Clappers game. And it sounds like what Criz is saying is go watch them, figure out what they're doing, and then just do that. Easy enough, right?
Easy enough. Make your own style too. You don't have to do exactly, but
yeah, not exactly. But you got to learn the fundamentals before you can even branch out, right?
Well, like I said, it's just even if they lost, they'd be the favorite to win again, and it just tells you that what they're doing is right. So if it's that obvious, like why aren't we all at least trying or like making that the way we play? I see a lot of teams like I feel like a lot of teams are just praying that they win. Like that's how it feels. Like they're just praying, like, oh man, I hope we win this year. It's not like, oh, I think we can compete like for more years. You know what I mean? I just feel like they're all kind of thinking like, oh man, like I hope we win like this year. That would be great. Like it's more of like a fucking prayer and not like, okay, let's actually like make this competitive, not just praying to win. But that's just how I feel.
Yeah. All right. So that's that. The stat sheet that Rodeo made is actually really sick. I kept on like kind of referring back to it over the season. My favorite part, obviously, is the Omelets having the lowest goals against. How could it not be? But that's last season, right? The finals are over. A trophy was awarded, one way or another. So whatever team, a bunch of hosers, I heard. But so, what you said about like teams switching it up, learning something new, we actually have a lot of Pro Division teams where their rosters look completely different.
Yes.
Like nothing's final yet. We've still got about another week or so. But a lot of things have changed up. You guys want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I know we made a pretty big change. FSI left. 1 second. Fuck.
And this is for the Storm.
Yeah, this is for the Storm. We knew FSI was leaving before, like right after the first round versus the Hootenannies. Like weren't mad or anything, so it didn't affect our like chemistry at all. Like It was all on good terms. Still love the guy, great player.
Okay, so you're saying that FSI leaving doesn't matter to you at all.
No.
Hot take.
You know,
I
you
don't know what I'm saying.
take him or leave him. FSI, if
No.
you're listening, Rodeo does not value you.
False.
That's what I heard.
We would have loved to have him back if he wanted to play with us. But we had to start exploring other options. I know a lot of people knew we were talking to Dynamite for a bit. And then the finals happened. He wasn't sure if he was going to retire or not. So I started looking at other options. I was talking to Criz a bit, talking to actually an open player who my first choice was an open player who I think has really high potential, who I kind of wanted to like wing in the pro division.
Are you keeping the name close to your chest?
I mean, you can probably figure it. I'm not going to say it, but
he's not going to say it.
A lot of people know who it is.
Very secretive, Rodeo.
I really, really wanted to play with him. Just something new. I've never like picked up a non veteran player. I guess Criz kind of qualifies, but he's been in the community for a while, so I don't really count that the same.
Yeah, you just wanted to take a chance on something like maybe there would be a dark horse.
Kind of like your Shiba a bit. But
no one expected
Shiba. Shiba.
And also, I mean, as much as no one expected Shiba in NSL Season 2, no one expected Shiba and Kim Jong to completely leave my team.
Yeah.
They said they were going to wait for Slapshot 2, but it doesn't seem to be the case. I mean, if they can find a reliable third, it seems like they're ready to be one of those teams to tear it up in open division.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. We've got FSI he left. We got Galzi he left, and then Oceloth left the Burgers
and Renard.
They're
still looking for one. Some rumors out there. Maybe Flani goes to the Burgers.
He's not French, so it's just to the Burgers. Yeah. So we got Delvidge and Walster currently, as of this recording. As far as I know, they don't have a third yet. Flanty, Panther, Dynamike, those were the biggest free agents, I would say. Panther just got picked up to somewhere, didn't he?
He is a sub for Virginia.
Virginia, right. Yeah. And then Dynamike, obviously, you know, he looked at his cards on the table. He ended up with the Omelets, so we're excited to see how that system will work out. We got me, we got Scods, we got Dynamike.
Probably definitely the biggest free agent of the offseason.
Yep. So we'll see how that pays off if all the hype is there. I mean, the stats are there, right? But
every season he shows to perform.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he puts the pucks in the net, man.
Exactly.
So you know, you can't really talk shit about that. And then otherwise, we've got a lot of other teams holding true. You know, the Venom picked up a couple subs. One thing to note is that we're going from a 4-team or a 4-player maximum roster to a 5-player maximum roster. We're losing a day of like game days. So the week is a little bit shorter as far as what days we can play on. But it's meant to be offset by having an extra player as a sub. So some teams are taking advantage of that. Some are struggling to even find a third. In the case of like the Burgers, Fishermen don't exist, which is, you know, F in the chat for Fishermen.
So the Venom automatically get Pro Division now because they were the 9th seed, so they'll be in Pro.
Yep, and then other teams. I guess what's going on with the Hoots? Are they staying? Fat left Luigi Jambi? Is that a thing?
We don't
know yet.
Flonty might stay.
Okay. If Flanty stays, then that team's going to stick around. But if they don't stay, if that team gets broken up, that's a lot of free agents going back into the pool, and maybe teams will find their third or their fourth. You think so?
Well, at least 2 of them, I would assume.
Because they're friends. Fatlef and Luigi are friends, I'm pretty sure.
So will they get to maintain?
Yeah.
If 2 of them stay, yeah.
Okay, if 2.
The problem would be...
So and then they've
It's likely that whether they're called the Hootenannies or called something else, they'll probably still exist as a team.
Well, Flonny's not even the captain. Flonny is it's like Fatlef's team or something, or maybe Luigi's.
Right. So I mean, I would guess that no news is good news, and that they don't have any plans to like go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because I literally haven't heard anything about them breaking up.
I think they're waiting on Flonny, but I think even if Flonny leaves, I feel like Jamie might just take the spot. I mean, I don't know who else they could get.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't hit up Panther or something.
The free agent pool is starting to get a little bit tight, but I mean, at this point, I would guess they would be banking on Flanty, because what options does he have left? I think it's either the Burgers, or it's staying with the Hootenannies, or it's it's dropping to open division, which I don't think he would really want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. There's a
I
lot.
know the Smokers are looking for a fourth, and their fourth is going to get some playing time because of Walrus's ping issues. So maybe
Yeah.
Funny might be looking at that. Maybe
Yeah, I have heard that.
pretty different.
Is there a
but
deadline for when you need to like have a team by, or
there is? I think it's the 7th, maybe.
a February?
I mean, that might
Great
just
question. I would
Yeah.
guess it's the day before
Yeah,
we actually
I
start
believe.
playing.
Well, I didn't know if it was
at
like
least have someone
before.
on there, and then trades and everything can still happen.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, is it just a trade deadline? Because at that point, like, it really doesn't.
No, I think that's like the sign up deadline. To sign up like a new team.
Okay.
Like teams can still pick up players and stuff.
Okay.
I mean, you have to have 3 people to play.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
But yeah, there's so that's what's happened so far in the off season. And
oh yeah, we
it's kind
signed Criz just to like we don't know if we ever said that. We took Criz
So-
co-host,
so you
now-
guys are together now, teaming up on me. Great.
starting member of the Storm.
Okay, hang on. So, well, now that I've got insider info with both you guys
Mhm.
here, do you think that Criz is going to get to play more than one game?
He's going to play hopefully all the games if scheduling allows.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Rodeo, Reno, and Criz.
Yeah.
It's the new Storm.
Yeah.
They're about to light it up. Cool. So yeah, it's kind of a weird time that we're recording this podcast since it's like
Not everything's confirmed yet. Yeah.
Not
Still in,
everything's
like
confirmed.
roster limbo.
we're like dead in the middle of the off season, so things have happened, but a lot more is going to happen. I figure next week we'll probably talk about
Like
like-
rankings or like if all the stuff's confirmed.
yeah,
At least
like
hopefully all the pro stuff is confirmed. Then we can kind of rank those teams, talk about all the moves like more in depth.
definitely. So if all the pro things are settled down, if most of like the roster changes have been made, subs have been picked up, the free agent pool is run dry. I don't want to like leave the open division in the dark either. There's actually a lot of interesting things going on there. I think that next season is going to be really competitive for open season for the most part.
Yeah.
Give or
100%.
take a couple games with the top teams and the bottom teams. That's just what's going to happen. But other than that, like a lot of these teams are going to have some really good games, especially compared to the placement season. So I want to
And
kind of get into like season predictions for the pro teams, for the open teams, just where do we rank these teams together and just what do we think of what their rosters end up looking like?
All right, so we wrapped all that up. Something that I am just curious about your guys' opinion. I'll let you guys go first. You're definitely probably going to steal some of my thunder on this since you guys are going to talk first. But with Slapshot 2, obviously, on the horizon, no one knows like a date or anything like that, but give me just some players that obviously don't play now that you are excited to see come back that might be able to like spice up the league, or just like you're excited to see them come back and play. I'll let you guys go first. I have mine. You might steal mine, but that's okay.
I have a good one.
I really hope LOD plays again. Together,
too.
like Vic and Gander and Matt and Bob,
Yep.
maybe. And I don't think it'll ever be like the old days, like in Slap 1, like old OG pubs, like all night. But like, I hope they like grind again and get really good, and we have a lot of fun there.
Yep.
I
Always
think
great memes and competitiveness.
I actually think the opposite. I think they could pop off and play almost even more.
Yeah, well,
On
let's hope
two,
so.
like when it's actually like
Yeah.
fun.
yeah.
Okay. The two players that I'm
Yeah, I was gonna
definitely
say, give
going
me
to say,
like two.
and yeah, I've talked to these people, and they've both said they're coming back, and just not necessarily for the meme, but just to see, like, can you teach an old dog new tricks? It's Midas and it's Gubby. So, two players that were regarded as like top in the game, and this is at launch though. So, since launch, they've kind of fallen off the map. They don't really play that much at all really anymore. Midas made a resurgence for a second. Gubby kept playing until NSL, or through NSL.
He played season 2, yeah.
He played season 2, yeah, the Boston Stallions, before completely disappearing. But both of these players, I've heard that they're going to come back for Slapshot 2, and I would just like to see if the skills hold up in any way. They've both said that they're going to try to grind it out and get back up there. So it'll be exciting to see both of them back.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I have another one too. I guess because LOD never really played super competitive. I want to see CC back and grinding.
CC,
Yes,
that's
man.
that's a
Where
good
is
one.
Yeah.
CC? I love CC.
Mhm.
CC,
Yeah, Sam.
please come back,
Great
man.
guy.
We miss you.
Okay, well, you guys definitely didn't name either of the two people I thought you were gonna name.
Yeah. You said you were gonna steal it from you. We
I
didn't
feel
even
like
say.
I know who you're gonna.
I don't know.
say.
I don't know who Criz knows.
Well, I know
so
like
I don't-
everybody, but like obviously, I think Hawk and Dennis are obviously the two that like everybody
Oh,
thinks of
Dennis,
that like
fuck.
off
Yes,
the
Dennis.
rip. Like I think those two are probably the two that like if you just picked up a player, like if you were like, hey, I need somebody for one game, you're probably picking like one of those two people. You know what I mean? Like come in right now and play this fucking series. You're probably picking one of those two. But besides them, the two people that I would be interested to see is Evil. I feel like Evil kind of like got forgotten about. Like I feel like
Fuck.
he's been playing a little bit recently.
I haven't
though.
seen
He
him at
just
all.
came back.
Really?
He joined the SPL Discord today.
Really? That's
And
crazy.
he was in AIA's like trial night for like his tourneys
Yeah.
hosting.
Yep.
If he sneaks
Yeah.
in, he could almost make it for the season 1, and that could be actually really interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Put him on the French team.
So him, and then another person like I want to see come back is what's his name? Oh, Radades. I think Radades was like
Radhead's
Oh,
too.
yes.
Meats boy.
yeah. Like I think
Yeah.
those two
Our-
people like they have so
our
much
OG teammate.
so
Balucha.
much potential
Yeah.
to be good, and like if they come back at the
Yeah.
right time, like think about like all these players that you guys just named. Now think of them all in the intermediate division, all battling to try to get into
Yeah.
pro. Like how
Yeah.
interesting that would be. Like all these teams, like even
Yeah.
people like Mav, maybe even like K2, just people who like don't play anymore that might come back in the beginning. Like just I don't know. I feel like it'd be so
Yeah.
good if all these people, even
Great.
half these people came back to make teams and like just try to make a run at it.
I need to
Yeah.
gas Dennis a bit here. This dude does what he does now on like 80 ping.
Yeah.
It's insane. He's gonna be so insane at Slap too.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully with Slapshot 2, like without saying anything, we're all expecting better networking. Like hopefully Dennis can just pop off and like really reach his true potential.
hmm Yeah.
Anytime anyone brings up Slap 2, I just like start to clam up. Like,
Yeah.
am I allowed to talk? But-
NDA.
Criz is just like Criz is just like these motherfuckers and their alpha access.
yeah. Criz would ask about Slap 2. He's like, he's licking his lips. Just tell me anything. It's like, oh, Criz, funny you mentioned that. Actually, all those players are already playing.
Yeah, legit.
I'm just but yeah, that was actually a great question. It got me excited about the future. I think it will be really exciting, and also it's not just those players, but all the people they used to play with,
Right.
like
Yeah.
that come with
Yeah.
it, like Midas and Frantismo, whatever. They were always like a duo, and we had Gubby. Gubby had like a little posse of friends, and like, I think it would be cool to see all those guys come back and see
Yeah.
how it translates to a new game.
Well, I ask because I want to end every podcast. Really try with like a fun topic.
fun
Yeah, like
question.
a fun question or just like something that like can get people who might not hear their name because of like the pro division only chat most of the time. Like they might be able to hear their
Yeah.
name or like just people who don't play that like might even think about coming back. Just stuff like that. Like just try to get more people involved and like hear their own
We
name.
said to get more into open division.
Right. Yeah. Like.
Yeah.
Next week.
Right. Yeah. So every week I just want to try to end with like at least some type of interesting question like that. So
Yeah, something lighthearted since we get so
yeah,
serious.
so we're such hard
Mhm.
asses on here.
Roasting people.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yep.
walrus
Blowing up
dog
their
shit.
spot. Blowing up their
Yo.
spot. Fucking
I'm just kidding.
I thought we were
Walrus,
playing
I love
around. Dang. Oh, now we know how Rodeo feels.
All right.
He hates episode.
Oh wait, shout out to Ghoul community member.
Yeah, hang
Voted.
on. The award. Yeah, you said there was only 2 awards. The
Yeah.
most important award, SPL
Besides the
award
MVP.
trophy for top community member, goes to Ghoul. And congratulations, buddy. You earned it.
Yeah, he's gonna do.
We
He's
all
gonna be
voted.
doing some reporting, I think, for open divisions. See more
Yeah.
articles from him on SPL.gg.
Yeah,
Link in the
and like,
description.
yeah, anyone could like talk shit about that, but you really can't because we need like reporting and
Content.
casting and stuff. We need content
Mhm.
for open division because if we're not in open division anymore, that wasn't a flex, by the way. If we're not in open division anymore, like I still care. Like I want to hear what's going on, and like I'm excited for. I think it's going to be more competitive, like I said. So I want to keep up with all that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy season. I can't wait till all these rosters are confirmed. We get to go in depth on all these, talk about stuff that I know there's a few things that we know that I don't want to like ruin anyone's announcement. There's a few things we know behind the scenes that are getting closer to being confirmed, but I'm not gonna leak it. I don't want to be that guy.
Yep.
Dude, I don't know anything that you're talking
Sure.
about right now.
I didn't know what you guys were gonna do for a while, and then you got Dino. That was crazy.
Yeah. So, like you said,
Okay.
next week, hopefully things are a little more set in stone as far as rosters. So we'll definitely take a look at that, talk about what we think is going to happen. Anything else, you guys?
No, that's really
Um,
it for me.
Shout out Dream's fiance. Shout out Irvion.
Shout out Kobe
yeah.
Bryant, rip to the GOAT.
Yeah, shout out
Oh
Kobe.
yeah, rest in
Goat.
peace.
Crazy. Join Ghouls 2v2 tournament Friday,
Yeah, okay.
8 p.m.
Yeah.
The Kobe Cup.
The Kobe Cup. Everybody
Yeah.
better be there.
Purple
love-
and gold stick.
Purple and gold stick, number 24.
8 or 24.
Yes, man. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Okay.
Rest in
That's
peace
going
to
to do it
legends.
for us this week, guys. Episode 2 of the cycle. See you back next week for episode 3. Getting into more open Pro Division stuff, all that.
You know, if you guys ever
Have a
have
good day.
topics too, don't be afraid to message us and be like, "Yo, can you guys like talk
Yeah.
about this?" Or like, I think we should set up like a
Definitely.
maybe just like a Discord or just like anything people can just request or talk
Mm-hmm.
about things or suggest things so we can get more content. 'Cause I think sometimes we
Yeah.
might have like mental blocks about topics, and if people can just throw us some, that'll definitely help.
I was going to open up this one, but I feel like people are in too many Slapshot Discords. I didn't want to open another one. So
right,
I'm like,
there's got to be a place we can put
Yeah.
it that like people will help.
Yeah.
Maybe
I got an idea, guys. PO
What?
box. If you have suggestions, if you have ideas, send them to
Mail
our
us.
PO box, and
Yeah.
and we'll open your
write
letters.
it, write a
Okay.
note.
Let's wrap it up.
All right, I'm
No one's
delirious.
mailing us shit.
Put on
Okay.
a
Damn it.
pigeon's leg, send it to us.
Just think it really hard, and
Oh,
maybe
God.
maybe
just
we'll
devolved.
get the message. All right,
All right,
see you
we're out,
guys.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.